So let's talk about Black Superman.
Oh, something else that'll anger the Phantom
Something
Menace.
else. Yeah, we're going all on tonight, right? We're going all in tonight about this stuff. Now, the thing is, today is an interesting day. Now, this was the very first super chat from Rational Skeptic again, because we're towards the end of the show here. Says, is the J.J. Abrams Superman film actually greenlit, or is it another case of he said, she said from Scoopers? Well, this is not saying that it's greenlit, but just that we're talking about the scripting.
It's kind of the script has been written. It's more so a case of does it get approved and do they move ahead with it?
And that's where we're hearing conflicting things depending on who you want to talk to. So earlier today, One Take News posted this saying Ta-Nehisi Coates is turning in a draft of his Superman project to Warner Brothers soon.
Yeah, and this comes from Jeff Schneider from the Inkler, that from website.
Yeah. And Jeff Schneider, who also used to work for LA Mag and Below the Line, and
yeah, the Inkler was like the new website made by former Hollywood Reporter editors. That it's behind.
Yeah, like Tatiana Siegel is part of that. She broke the Ezra Miller story last week about their behavior for Rolling Stone, that certain people have tried to like downplay and discredit. But no, Tatiana Siegel actually has sources. Jeff Schneider has sources. So this is just the blurb that Jeff Schneider put out today, talking about like, let me guide David Zaslav through Warner Brothers development cupboard and explain why his number one priority should be reuniting the 3 stars of the Harry Potter franchise, and 2 should be relaunching Superman, also gender flipping The Hangover, which that was Bridesmaids.
Yeah.
So we got that, and that was like 11 years ago.
We don't need more Hangover movies. So you clarified this for me, but this tweet's not saying what they're working on. It's more so his suggestions for what they should focus on.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, and so there's been some confusion
I agree
about
with
this.
The first part, they should reunite the original Harry Potter cast.
And I think they're going to. There's been a lot of chatter about that, even leading up to the release of Secrets of Dumbledore this week. A lot of stuff going on. I think again, it's a high priority for HBO Max because they realize that is again, that's a
and
big.
They should also probably do, like
you
said too, and probably do a reboot on HBO Max with each season adapting a book.
Yep, I've been saying that for a while. A
shitload of money.
Absolutely should do that. Yeah. And that would make them again a lot of cash. Yeah. More, look, I'm telling you guys, probably more than DC. I mean, and that's not even throwing shade.
Oh no, and we talked about this before the show started, but in many ways, Harry Potter is their equivalent to like a Star Wars. It is their big, high budget, fantasy, family friendly adventure series. Like, it is so popular. I know we downplay Harry Potter because the Fantastic Beasts movies have only done middling, but do not underestimate the value of the Wizarding World. Don't underestimate it because
Universal Studios has proven that by having 2 theme parks that are massively popular.
Yeah, they rival Disneyland, and it's just like one land.
So in again, all Jeff Schneider said, right, was that Ta-Nehisi Coates is turning in a draft really soon.
And he specified that Superman is going to be very important for the studio, which I agree with. Superman does need to get off the ground finally. It's been way too long.
It has been way too long. And I mean, again, just to re-clarify this, I believe it should be Henry Cavill.
It should be.
Again, as much as I bicker with the Snyder fandom, I've always said we are always on the same page on what we want.
He needs his damn sequel.
He does. Rational Skeptic over $5, buddy. Thank you. Says, if Cavill is staying in the DCEU and Michael B. Jordan is doing Val-Zod for HBO Max, who is going to be hyped for JJ's period piece, Black Clark Kent Superman film?
See, but that implies, though, Rational, that Henry Cavill's staying. And I know, we don't like talking about it, but there have been some reports saying that in the new Flash timeline, he gets killed off as a baby. So we're not going to know until next year. That's the problem.
We're not going to know. We're not going to know for a while. But yeah, I don't, again, it almost feels like what they're doing is they're holding Cavill for his last appearance for maybe Crisis.
Oh, you really think they're going to hold it for that long?
I think they'll hold him. I think they'll hold that version of him.
Why don't they just write a new contract then?
Because it's about scheduling. It's about money.
If it's cameos,
does Henry Cavill want to do fucking cameos? You have to think about that. Does he want it? Is he at a point where he was like, dude, he was cast as Superman back in the early 2000s before Brandon Routh, when it was under Superman Flyby. He was Superman. They scrapped the project because Mick G did not want to go to Australia. Okay. Then
Which is a good thing. That movie would have been trash.
It would have been trash. I agree with you. Because Mick G, again, went on to go make Terminator Salvation. So there's that. But then you've also got, Henry Cavill having starred as, a Napoleon Solo in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which is meant to kick off another franchise. And Warner Brothers mismarketed it. It's a fantastic movie if you guys have never seen it. And then now, he's rumored to be James Bond. Benson keeps telling me all the time that Cavill, again, Benson here says flat out, Cavill will be too busy with Bond. I don't think he's going to play Bond, dude.
It's Argyle, man.
It's Argyle. There's been some character posters, like one character poster and a book cover that have come out, and they both feature him with that eraser head haircut. So, I mean, it's a featuring, unless it's a complete thing of mismarketing, Cavill is busy with The Witcher, possibly Mass Effect, possibly Highlander, and the Argyle trilogy. It's not even a fucking one movie. It's a trilogy. And Apple TV is dropping in like $200 million for just Argyle, the first movie, based upon Matthew Vaughn directing it. So yeah, Cavill is busy. I don't think it's going to be with James Bond, but at the same time, Bond will take a couple years before we do actually see him come back. The other part of that, though, is that, again, Cavill is like in his late 30s.
Yeah, so he's getting older. Yeah,
he's getting older. And once he crosses that 40 line, Bond is going to probably be a little younger. So,
yeah, and you know what? Warner Brothers may be thinking to themselves, you know what? Black don't crack. Let's get a black actor.
RJ! What? I'm not even going to touch that, sir.
What? Come on now. I'm just saying,
Okay.
It was a poor joke. I apologize.
All right. So, striking that one from the record, let us move forward to the whole. No, you're fine. I'm giving you shit. But let's talking about here the whole thing with this particular story. So, back on I think my birthday on March 26th, our friends Sil Abdul and Mikey Sutton were talking about this on a live stream. Now, they were talking about this over on Sil's channel. Geekositymag.com, Mikey Sutton's own website, has not covered this. He hasn't written about this. He hasn't speculated about this, as he does with most of his particular, what's the word I want to use here? His articles about DCs. Apparently Snyder is really big news. Everybody wants Snyder content, but he never talks about it on his website. So it's a little bit sus on that one. But anyway, Bounding into Comics covered it. Now, I know this is why Sil had put out a tweet praising Bounding into Comics for covering this.
Bounding into Comics never repriced for anything.
Yeah, I'm not. They should. I completely agree. I'm only using them as a reference because I was not going to show you guys literally like a 20-minute segment on this because I don't have as much time for that. But they talk about here. Geekosity scooper Mikey Sutton says J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Superman movie is cold turkey. Saying here that Sutton claims that this is due in large part to writer Ta-Nehisi Coates falling behind. Supposed to have a draft ready by now, it said Coates hasn't delivered on his promises. Sutton adds that the studio is trying to inject too much social commentary to the detriment of the idea. They want the film to be Oscar-worthy, but in their push for perceived prestige, it's becoming less and less like Superman movie at this stage.
So if this is correct, though, is the presumption perhaps that they're trying to make this like an equivalent to Black Panther, where it could be nominated for Best Picture?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I kind of figured.
Basically. Or like Joker sort of thing, right? Like they want to actually like, if this is true, which look, knowing Warner Brothers, I would say that after the Joker win, probably they're like, hey, we can actually maybe get a one-up on Marvel here. Let's do it. It goes on to say here that then there is a problem of gearing towards the kids. They might want to inspire with the story that can be based upon Calvin Ellis's, or the story thought to be based on Calvin Ellis's version of Superman, a Black Kryptonian who became president. Now, the fear is that it will go over the heads of the young ones and repel them, Sutton says. In a quote, and he directly says this, "I'm an adult and I don't want to see this." And Sil also echoed that particular statement as well. So, and look, they're talking about I mean, look, I don't think anybody wants to see this.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? Yeah. As you said, I don't feel like anyone's interested in this. The most exciting thing is the Michael B. Jordan project, because he's actually doing an original character, Val-Zod. Like, it's not just a Black Clark Kent. This is just going to be Black Clark Kent. And again, who wants to see that? actually use a respectable Black DC Comics character and elevate them to the prestige they should be levitated to, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that also is an issue too, because again, they've always had an issue with Superman of trying to make it appeal to kids, to the fans of the older version of Superman, particularly Christopher Reeve, and the modern era fans, right? And I could see them putting the cart before the horse, thinking, well, this is going to be like hip. It's going to be like the next big thing. We're going to market it like this, and that, rather focusing on the idea of a Black Superman versus actually making a compelling story to support it, you know?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I see people in the chat talking about Icon.
Icon's a great character. I mean, there's a lot of characters from Milestone Comics that should be getting some love. Where the hell is the Static Shock movie?
Well, we know that they're working on it. Like, we know that they're working on it. So, but yeah, no, that's true. I think they could do more with these established characters and definitely take from that particular perspective. But it goes on to say here that if it's made, the budget would likely be reduced. Scoop Center MC Sil Abdul. What?
Scoop Center MC Sil Abdul.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's gonna go on a resume.
That's going right to his head. Estimates it will be slashed by 2/3 and ultimately canceled when Discovery takes into account budgetary issues alongside a lack of narrative. Now, what they don't say here is what Mikey had said in regards to that, where he had posited, mind you, that the estimated budget for a movie like this would be $300 million.
Is that including or not including advertising?
I mean, probably not including advertising, but you wouldn't do a Superman movie set in the mid 1960s civil rights movement, and it would run you $300 million, which is why there's no chance in hell they're going to spend that much on a Superman movie. Not at all.
They didn't even spend $100 million. They only spent like $100 million for the Batman, and that's like their prime. Like that's like their premium.
And they wanted to. And they lowered the budget in order to make it more experimental, and it paid off with a massive return on investment.
Is probably what they should do for Superman.
Sure, I agree with you. I absolutely agree. Now, then it finishes up here by saying Sutton is going to corroborate with other sources to make sure, but the above is what he knows so far. So he's like, I don't want to run with it because I can't corroborate it. Yet he runs it on his website for other crap too. But the thing is, you see the hyperlink right there? Zack Snyder weighs in on the idea of a Black Superman from J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates, right?
Oh, so this is an article about Zack.
Oh yeah, no. Well, that's what it links to. So I pulled that particular clip here, or that particular snippet as well, saying in a recent interview with Radio Times, Snyder admitted he not only likes Abrams but also approves of Black Kal-El, calling it long overdue and a bold move. Saying here, my feeling is I love JJ. I love what he's done in the past. I'm interested to see what happens. It's a bold and cool and probably long overdue movie. But going on to say, I love Henry. Of course I do. He's my Superman. So, I mean, again, they're like,
it's him being nice. And
sure, it's him being nice. I'm not saying he's not being nice. Zack is a nice guy. But the thing with that is, though, is like, this is where the fandom is going to have their problems. Because this is a character, a lot of people would just rather see Val-Zod. They would rather see another approach to it. They
would rather see the original Black character that they made to be a Superman equivalent versus getting just, here's Superman, but it's Clark Kent, but he's Black. Which feels like it's pandering. It feels like it's belittling instead of actually elevating, like I said before, elevating a popular Black DC Comics character. You're just making another character Black to try and appease these people who just want to see proper representation of the characters they love come to the screen.
Yeah. Very true. Interestingly enough, Jeff Schneider just tweeted out 3 clapping hands emojis on Twitter less than a minute ago. So I have no idea what that's about, but it might be something in regards to what he's trying to get people's attention. Who knows? Who knows what's going on with all that?
We'll see.
So, the thing is, though, is, what I want Henry Cavill as Superman. If you have another Kryptonian character who is the same equivalent, but Black, great, cool. I think people out there would be fine with having, I think what you're going to get is you're going to get a pushback from people out there who are fans of the Clark Kent as they know him. And there are a lot of people worldwide who do love Clark Kent like as he is pushed. And if you alter that too much, the movie might do well here in certain parts of the States, based upon just the idea, but would it translate worldwide?
Well, it's also the issue of, is it going to be too artistic and too full of itself too?
Yeah.
Right. Is it take itself too seriously? Is it take itself in a direction to where it's trying to be too philosophical? It's trying too hard to deliver a message versus a good story. And what I mean by pandering is that I'm talking about like because I've talked to like I've talked to friends of mine that are African American who are Black, and I've asked them flat out, and other friends of mine in the community have asked their Black friends as well, are you interested in this movie? And they said no. And they said, I would rather see a Jon Stewart, a Vixen movie. They'd rather see an original Black character versus Clark Kent be made Black. Because even though we haven't read the script yet, and I do agree maybe it'll be a great story, it just comes across like it's pandering. Like it's just lip service being given, like, okay, you get a Black character, but we're just going to make one of our popular characters who's white a Black character and just give you the same character. Like, it doesn't feel like it's organic. It doesn't feel like they're actually being respectful to this demographic of people, you know?
I've heard that same argument made. At the end of the day, all I can really say is just, I hope they wow me with whatever they do. But it's not hard to see that, like, this is maybe not, like, I understand the reason why.
I just don't think this is a smart direction to go in.
I understand like the why of why they would want to do it and why right now they would want to do it. I get all that, but like, I just feel like what you have here is you have a situation where, yes, there is a social movement happening with like Black Lives Matter and the George Floyd protest. And obviously with all that stuff, that's going to be brought into this. But what then you also
why not bring in a Jon Stewart then, or actual Black character that's famous?
Because they might feel that it's not as famous on the worldwide stage, and that is something not the comics might be popular worldwide, but then again, like the numbers, who knows what those numbers truly are? We don't get to see all the digital sales and things like that.
No, I get that,
but all this stuff is market tested.
But hold on though, look at Miles Morales. That was a character that nobody knew of and nobody really believed in, really, right? But look, they took a gamble on him with Spider-Verse, and look how that paid off. The video game came out. Now Miles Morales is basically almost a household name at this point. Sometimes
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far.
Though, like he's more popular.
He is more popular, but then again, I mean,
and he has worldwide appeal.
Into the Spider-Verse did not do very well theatrically. It was discovered more on streaming when it went to Netflix after it won Best Animated Feature, beating out Pixar because it was a better movie, you know. And then yes, you had the video game and you had elements of that, and so yes, there is a greater market awareness.
Yeah. I guess my point
or social awareness of
sometimes you got to take a gamble. Sometimes you got to roll the dice and try it.
No, and I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. Again, like, I just think I also agree that, like, you know, having a character like Jon Stewart or having a character that's already been predetermined.
Yeah. Because Black Panther had worldwide appeal. You know.
It did. Yeah. It was the first MCU Black led movie, and it did really well. And it was, it was a good movie. It was a fun movie. So I think this could be okay as well. I don't think JJ would be directing it, but a lot of people out there are going to be very, what's the word I want to use here? They're going to be very kind of iffy on it. I think like there's a lot of people that are
a lot of apprehension
because I don't think they have faith in the company to produce something that's going to be worthwhile and to stick with it. Additionally, there is this kind of like odd, and it's been, again, last couple of years, this nostalgia bait that we see, right? Or this like this clutching of pearls for nostalgia is what I want to say, where, you know, any kind of alteration or change or to an adaptation of a character is met with massive vitriol and hatred. This is something that is like, we've never seen the likes of this specifically. You know what I mean? We've never seen the likes of race bending Clark Kent in this regard. That is going to take a lot of people are going to have issue with that. And
yeah, no, this is a very risky venture they're going down. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'll have to wait and see on that one. H Bars here did drop a 5-bone super chat. Thanks, buddy. He says, after Superman dies, Val-Zod feels like it's his responsibility to take over to protect Earth and set in the DCU. I mean, there you go. That could work too, man. I mean, At this point, it basically, I think we all can kind of agree that Cavill is kind of out. I think is the moral of the story.
Hopefully not for too long, though.
Hopefully not for too long, but it's that. And another thing too that let's see here. Andrew Dunbar says, I think it's a mistake to hire Coates for a superhero film. He has been a successful essayist in the political space, but his stint in comics was terribly not successful.
Yeah, no, that's a great point too. Like, I don't consider Ta-Nehisi Coates like a screenwriter. Like, he's written a couple comics. Like, he's written the Black Panther comic. He's written the Captain America comic for Marvel. I don't really consider him like a screenwriter though. Like, that's also like, he's more of a political essayist. He's more of a person who like commentates on political issues and kind of like brings his political energy to the comics he writes. I don't know. I mean, again, they're going to look at the script and make the decision for me, I guess.
Well, the thing is though, here's the thing. I know that Warner Brothers and DC Comics have done away with truth, justice, and the American way.
They did. Yeah, it's like truth, justice,
and a better tomorrow. I think is what it is now. And I do like the new slogan quite a bit. But again, what we're talking about here is like, what, 80 years of Superman kind of rocking that particular mojo. We're talking the Christ-like approach to Superman being in public consciousness now for about 50 years. You know, because remember, Superman was not like, he wasn't Christ a long time ago when he was created. He was a working class hero. You know, he beat the crap out of like thieves and slumlords and shit. So he was not meant to be like, you know, Jesus Christ, which is as he's kind of been portrayed since the Christopher Reeve days. And you can get bitchy at me about that all you want, but it's true. So, you know, what you've got here is you've got this like, you know, half century idea of what Superman is in the public consciousness of what Clark Kent is or who Clark Kent is. To change that is going to bring out a lot of very strong feelings. And the problem with that, though, is that when those strong feelings come out, so many people are going to then immediately jump on that and label everything as racist or bigoted or discriminatory or prejudice, when it could just be people going like, I don't like them changing my hero. You know what I mean? And then it's like that then is going to then create that animosity and that anger and that detachment. And there's already been a lot of that going on. You know, we were just talking about the Nimona thing with like how it's a pro-LGBT animated movie that Disney canceled, but now it's going to be coming out. And how many people are going to get mad about that because the people behind She-Ra are involved in it. You know, all of this faux outrage that actually does translate into real world actions is going to be something very fascinating to watch. And I truly hope that if they are going down this path, that they have considered that and that they are doing everything they can to manage it and mitigate it, rather than doing what Ghostbusters 2016 did, which was consistently double and triple down all the way to that movie becoming a massive flop and a black eye on the entire institution of Sony Pictures.